Now, the public's going to have an opportunity to comment on this. So you four may go ahead and be seated. There's not going to be any cross-examination. But keep in mind, the meat and potatoes of the deal is going to be in the next agenda item. So you might want to save it to the next agenda item instead of getting up and speaking your piece. So before we take public comment, I'd ask any of those wishing to speak to keep the following in mind. This agenda item relates only to expert testimony we just heard, so you may only comment on the testimony we just heard. Therefore, it would be most helpful if you reserve your comments for the next agenda item. Let's see. Hold on, let me finish my script and it might answer your question. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes, and we request that you direct your comments to the committee regarding presentations that were just made. Please keep in mind that this agenda item is not an opportunity to cross-examine or argue directly with the presenters, but rather provide public comment to this committee about the presentations and with that said, Bernadette, what was your process question?
I apologize for interrupting you. I'm just wondering, will people be given the chance to speak on both agenda items?
Yeah, have a right to speak. So right now you only got 2 minutes. Once again, we don't want to go beyond that second column. Please keep your feet off the wall. Thank you. Go ahead. First person, shoot. You got 2 minutes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I just want to address some of the comments that were made. Since I actually spoke to you guys in April, a few months ago, my company has installed over 1,000 energy storage systems. To date, as David Little pointed out, no incidences of any kind related to the ESS. When we talk about electrical work being done by the C10, our company is a C46 company. When we have to do electrical work, we do contract with a C10. If we have to do a main panel upgrade, that work would definitely be handled by a C10. That has nothing to do with the solar system or the energy storage system, however. And there is no NEC code mandate mandating a C10 install an energy storage system. Nowhere in the NEC does it talk about a license holder, only the reference to qualified personnel. When we talk about mandates the danger of an ESS, the danger in an ESS system is inherent to the ESS itself. But as David actually asked before, standards have evolved to make these products safer and safer as we move forward in time. So the issues we see is that basically the tech is safer. And there are also no professional engineering requirements in the NFPA for an ESS as well. Even for the C46 contractor, we can go up to a 5 megawatt system and not require any PE at all before it becomes actually recommended and still not mandated. We've also been making great strides in the international codes to further make these systems safer. So you'll see in international codes coming up, systems will be mandated to be 9540 listed. We recently had a situation in Arizona where we had an ESS fire. I have to point out specifically that those ESSs are not listed. So we're talking about unlisted systems. I personally would have an issue installing those myself because I don't think they've passed rigorous enough safety. I wouldn't be comfortable with my clients having a system of an energy storage system that was unlisted. 2 minutes? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, thanks for the committee. Thank you guys for hearing us out. My name is Todd Farhat. I am a C46. I have been a C46 for 12 years now. My first storage system was a 61 kilowatt hour lead acid open terminal that I've installed in 2010. My recent storage is a 40 kW that I've installed last year. I recently got my C10. I can promise you that there hasn't been an influx of knowledge that I got out of my C10. I did not learn any more safety measures in installing. As a matter of fact, my C10 license as it pertains to PV and storage was far more inferior to my knowledge, as a PV installer and a C46. This is not fair. C46 have been doing this, as Bernadette indicated, for 40 years. We have created this industry. We have the majority, the lion's share of installing not just PV, but also storage. And this is just a power play to squeeze us out of a very big market that's supposed to be expanding very heavily in the next few years. With utility rates the way they are and evolving, we know that storage is going to be in every home installed. Otherwise, solar will not make sense. And what the IBEW is trying to do is squeeze us, literally squeeze us out of the market that we created. I really encourage you guys to consider option 4, and thank you for hearing me.
Thank you for almost a couple of years of work on this issue. My name is Barry Cinnamon. I'm CEO of Cinnamon Energy Systems. I've been installing solar and storage systems for almost 40 years. I have a C46 license and a C10 license. I want to address a couple of my comments to Dan Heinrich. Obviously, he's very experienced. He knows what's involved in installing large systems. However, with all due respect, he's misrepresenting what goes on with small and medium-sized systems. A C46 contractor is indeed qualified and trained to install the circuit breaker that goes from the inverter into the house, just as many other specialty contractors do by their license category. Secondly, the majority of these battery systems are not separate systems. It's integrated. It's one inverter that connects to both solar and storage. That's the way these are designed. This is new. These are safer than the older systems. To address Mr. Albanese's questions, I have a different response and being very specific. The PV system that solar installers have been installing for 30 years or so, they operate at 400 to 600 volts. And that's something that we're very well trained to do, in addition to be working on the roof to make sure it doesn't leak. The circuit breaker that goes from the inverter into the house operates at 240 volts. Once again, we're qualified for that. Finally, with regards to the new battery technology, these lithium-ion package systems, they have protected terminals or they're plug and play. And we've done tests, even if they're unprotected. If you dead short those terminals, nothing happens. I can show you a video. And many of us know what happens if we drop a screwdriver or a wrench on top of an ordinary 12-volt car battery. So I'd like to point out that this is new technology. It's safer than ever was, and this whole issue really is irrelevant, as has been characterized as more of a power play. It will hurt the state's and the country's ability to solve this global warming problem. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ian Rodrigues. I represent a Class A contractor, so I'm not as skin in the game here, but we've been battling the IBEW for about 10 years on their their clawing back of some of the laborers' work. And I think that I'm just here to tell the board respectfully that we are all responsible, especially the CSLB, to recognize this proposed measure for what it is. It's an audacious lobbying effort by the IBEW and the NECA to expand the exclusive scope of electricians, at all costs forsaking any industrial and consumer expectations in order to benefit a private union and trade association. This effort must be stopped. No private union or trade association should benefit from licensing regulations which unjustifiably threaten an entire industry and interfere with green energy initiatives statewide. This is absolutely out of the question. Disturbing the industry in such a dramatic fashion should not be taken lightly. Indeed, such a strict, costly requirement should only be enacted if it is shown with empirical evidence, which you've not seen here today, that the requirement would substantially reduce the risk to life and limb and the safety of homeowners and consumers. It has not been shown. Neither CSLB nor IBEW have made that showing. If they lobby for such a regulation and such a new licensing requirement, they need to make the showing. If they're going to come here and preach safety and security and all those other agenda items, they need to make a showing that those are at risk before such new licensing regulations need to be enacted. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Diane Ravnick, former chief of the California Division of Apprenticeship Standards. So as such, I want to speak on the particular subject matter of qualified individuals for my 2 minutes. Our agency sets recognized training and performance standards for all of the various trades in the construction industry here in California, both for union and non-union programs. In that role, it was my job to ensure that the apprenticeship training programs approved and monitored by our agency produce a highly skilled, trained workforce proficient in all of the skills necessary to safely and effectively perform the functions required in their respective trades. Without a qualified workforce with objective, quantifiable, state-recognized standards, the safety of California workers, consumers, and the public in general is at risk, and that's why I'm here today. In contrast to our DAS-recognized 5-year training program for all state-certified electricians, there is no specified DAS-recognized training standards for solar installers operating in California today. So there is no floor for what training is required. The C46 contractors' employees can have little or no specific training, or they could have a lot, but who knows? But such training and certification is essential to the safe installation and maintenance of California's battery energy storage system. It's critical that only the most highly trained and skilled workforce, whose training includes the highest safety standards, be allowed to perform this work. I know the board's mission and focus is on the proficiency of California licensed contractors, but I do urge you to equally consider the training qualifications of their workforce who perform the actual installation and maintenance of these complex systems. And that would be the C10 workforce. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to thank the board for allowing us to make comments today. My name is Jason Bobrick. I'm here to represent one of the manufacturers, SolarEdge Technologies. We've produced, I would say, about half of the energy storage systems, residential energy storage systems that are installed in California today. I come from an engineering background, 13 years in the industry, developing products and developing codes and standards for safety and safe operating PV systems and storage systems. And what I want to say as a manufacturer, we depend on the standards, UL 1741, UL 9540. As you've heard some of the earlier speakers state, today's systems that we install are the plug-and-play systems. They're engineered appliances. So you can short the terminals out. That's one of the UL tests that you have to do and make sure that there's no risk of injury to a person, no risk of burn, electrocution, or mechanical hazard. It's very clear the rules that we follow as manufacturers. And we design those systems to be installed by qualified persons. And the qualified persons that we've designed for to date have been a combination of C46 and C10 contractors. The installation manuals that we write that give explicit instructions and training on how to install these systems are also reviewed by the nationally recognized testing laboratories. This is UL, TUV, Intertech, all the labs that we're familiar with. So one of the roles that the manufacturer fulfills in this is the training of the installer. And so we actively train all of our installers to install safe systems. And again, these are the plug-and-play systems that we're talking about today. Thank you for the time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Brett Young. I'm a product manager with Fronius International. We supply a variety of solar-based inverters, as well as solar and storage inverters, as well as welding equipment. So we have a diverse background in the competency of power conversion and control. So what we're looking at today is C46 installers versus C10 installers. Both are competent, both are capable. No two buildings are the same. The infrastructure of the electrical system can be diverse, can be old, can be new, can be out of code. So there is a place for C10 and C46. C46 are more than competent to be able to install storage as well as PV voltage due to their background. They have extensive background in DC as well as AC power, so they know both types of power. We consider them qualified for that reason. They also have the ability to review and identify blueprints. They also have the ability to do testing, so they understand both the design side as well as the post-installation side of testing and qualification. So I think they're well adequate for the majority, especially residential installations that are more modular in constructions, where we makes the terminal safe. We make sure there's connectors for the conductors, and we've done a lot of vetting through, as was said earlier, UL and ETL, and also NEC and NFA-PA compliance. So we follow the rule of law. All of our systems come out of the box ready to be installed. So finally, basically what we're going to see, we support the C46 contractors as we consider them, and they are qualified personnel. And we don't have to create an unnecessary barrier to slow things down. And with that, I would like to say thank you. And
good morning. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Allan Sloan. I'm a credentialed safety professional. I have 3 separate safety certifications to my name. These are in safety. I'm a safety management specialist, a construction health and safety technician, and a safety trained supervisor in construction. I've achieved these through the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. I have been in the electrical construction industry for over 20 years. A claim has been made by the CSSA that there have been no, quote, received examples of workmanship or serious injury or death that has resulted from installation of energy storage systems paired with solar voltaics. The field office reported 0 results. They further go on to state that quote, none of the reports identified accidents involving the installation of battery energy storage systems. They finished with saying that through the review of OSHA records, there have been 0 accidents related to the installation of solar and storage in California. These statements are misleading and do not represent the truth of injuries related to the installation of solar and battery storage. It would be fantasy to believe that over the course of 3,800 installations that the CSSA claims to have been installed in the last 2 years, that not one injury, electrical shock or burn has occurred. That would defy what we know about the laws of probability and incident rates. The reason these statements are misleading is how accidents are recorded, classified, and ultimately researched. Any electrical shock would be recorded under a more general construction heading that would apply to any type of electrical project. Solar and storage does not have a category unto itself. Even the BLS only breaks shocks out into electrical contractor and other wiring. So stating that 0 accidents have occurred under solar...
That's 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Board, for hearing our presentation. My name is Charlie Kufner. I spent about 30 years in the commercial construction business with Swinnerton Builders before being full-time in the solar business, and have a lot of experience in safety, and specifically training about safety first. And I can tell you that every industry, regardless of whether or not there are license requirements for this trade or that trade in the state, whether there is for electricians, but there isn't for, say, HVAC contractors specific licenses, doesn't mean that they don't work safely. And plumbers that aren't licensed put in pressure vessels that could blow up if they're not done properly. But training takes precedence, and the solar contractors have shown, contrary to the last statement by the gentleman who said that has to be a record, there doesn't appear to be any record. Nobody's been able to actually pull any documentation out. And the solar companies could not be successful and not have worked 40 years in California under this specific license, which, by the way, is unique. Was the first solar license in the country, I believe, and there's only a few other states that even have solar licenses. So the NEC doesn't define how the trades are broken up within the NEC. There's a lot of elements of the NEC that is solar-related that's in this class of C46, but it's not defined in the NEC. So you can't go to the NEC and say it's this versus that. We work with voltages at 480 AC and 1500 volt DC on a regular basis, and we have to train our employees to do that safely like any other trade group would do. Just one comment also before I close. Mr. Heinrich mentioned that he didn't know anything about batteries when he started working on them, and he had to learn about them so that he could do it safely. Well, that's exactly what the C46 and the solar contractors have been doing, learning about the new technologies, learning as they come out, doing them safely. If we didn't do them safely, we couldn't be in business. Thank you very much.
Good morning, board members. My name is Alex Landsberg. I'm Research and Advocacy Director with the San Francisco Electrical Construction Industry. I'm here to support the position for greater licensing requirements, and I wanted to speak in this session, in this part of it, just because the breathtaking dishonesty or incompetence in presenting some of the numbers in the context of what's going on in the solar industry. So the industry here is talking about having 49,000 workers. It's a wild overinflation. I've actually got some paper that I can drop you. Based on the Solar Foundation's own work, there are between 18 and 21,000 people installing solar of any sort within the state of California. So for them to pretend there are 45,000 people doing it is doing one of two things, either lying to you, or one of three things, not knowing what they're talking about, or frankly, not understanding their own industry and the data that their own industry foundations put out. So that's number one. Number two, there's a lot of talk about the dominance of the solar industry in installing PV paired storage. I have some charts here that, again, I'll share with you, which brings together information from the EIA and the state's self-generation incentive program, which SIA mentioned. What you can see here is that the blue lines here are which are utility scale and institutional and commercial installations are dominant over the past 6 years, and overall, I think probably make up, at least in 2018, a good 80% of the installations within the state. What I think we have here is an industry that we've got maybe some good folks who do follow safety practices and do what they need to do. But as all of you who have been in here, you don't regulate for the really good guys. You regulate for the bad guys. And there's an extensive amount of research showing that these guys don't train, they don't invest in their workforce, and ultimately people leave and they cycle through people. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ashton Turnison. I am here to represent Tesla today. I am the C10 and C46 license holder. So we're an installer and a manufacturer. And I came to follow up on Bernadette's comment about training for certified installers. So that is something that we do. We're particular about the license or the companies that do train with us, that we vet. There's quite a process for that, and we continually try to make our product better and safer. It's AC coupled, so there's not a separate inverter for that. It's a simpler system. And a lot of the other manufacturers are kind of following in line with that kind of engineering. So, you know, the products are growing, improving all the time, getting safer all the time. And we really vet through training internally and externally through certified installers. So that was the main comment I wanted to make. And it is also our stance and our mission at Tesla to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy globally. And by limiting the workforce that's able to do that, especially in California, goes against everything that we're trying to accomplish. So that's our comment.
Good morning, members of the State Licensing Board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I don't have a C10 license or a C46 license or any other kind of license for that matter. I'm here to speak as an expert in the field of public safety. I'm the retired chief of the Sacramento Fire Department. If I didn't say that, my name is Julius Cherry. I spent over 30 years in the fire service. And as a first responder, what I want you to know is that we want the highest qualified person installing, troubleshooting, and working on these systems. I want to associate myself with the comments made by the lady from Apprenticeship Standards when she said there is no floor to the training of certain groups that's involved in PV solar installation. Battery energy storage is, from a fire professional's perspective, is a different animal than PV solar. Over the years, being a member of the International Association of Fire Chiefs and going to the various conferences and seeing different demonstrations and so forth about battery energy systems and how they work, some of the fire risks, arcing, meltdown, explosion, and other things that go on, make that risk significant to our first responders. And I think as a member of the fire service leadership, our job is to protect the first responders and members of the public. So we often, when we respond to these emergencies, are relying on the expertise of the people who've installed them. In some cases, especially with big projects, there are actually people on the scene that are experts. The firefighters are not considered experts in this, but they often have to rely on information, technical information from the people who install and maintain these systems. And we want to know that we can rely. Sorry about that. Maybe I was tired of hearing my own self talk. In any event, the California Fire Code actually regulates differently energy storage systems from PV solar systems. And so the California Fire Code recognizes that. NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, recognizes the severity of the risk associated with energy storage systems. And so from a public safety standpoint, from somebody who spent more than 30 years as a first responder and managing first responders, I want the highest quality person, and we believe that is somebody that's a certified state electrician supervised by a C10 contractor. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for hearing our comments today and carefully considering this issue. I've been in the solar business, solar and energy storage for 25 years. I'm the qualifier for both our C10 and C46, so I have a long-term perspective and, like many other people in here have said, both licenses and both license perspectives. We have solar technicians, we have electricians, and we continue to install more and more battery systems, as you also have heard here today. Our solar technicians and practitioners have an option with us to continue to train and to go into the apprenticeship program, and often they decide not to. We don't force them to, because with our training, with our experience and our oversight, we see that it's not necessary to install energy storage systems for them to take electrician-based training. Many of them aren't interested because they want to be solar technicians. That's what they believe in. And what they learn in the practitioner or the apprenticeship program, a lot of it is not relevant to energy storage or solar. They learn Romex. They learn three-way light switches. They have no interest in that. So what we've found is that we're a successful, safe business that employs highly qualified people that really love what they do. And a license separation in this way that's being considered would add no value, would cost jobs, would cost people time and money in their careers, and it would be unnecessary. There's certainly room for improvement, but most of this isn't improvement. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Jim Wilson, Executive Director of NECA Los Angeles. I'd like to address some of the facts and spin and alternate facts being used by CalCIA in some of their statistics. First of all, CalCIA claims there are 45,000 solar and storage workers in California, amidst the vast majority are not certified electricians. They got half of this right. The vast majority are not certified. But let's look at this 45,000 number. According to the California EDD, which I hand out, whose auditorium we are today, there's an estimated only 3,920 solar PV installers in the state per occupational code 472231. They further state in the EDD that this excludes solar PV electricians are included in electricians 47211. So all the rest are
in a code that says these electricians install, maintain, repair electrical wiring equipment and fixtures, and ensure that they're done in accordance with codes. They may also install street lights or electrical controls. Therefore, by definition, all these electrical workers beyond 3920 solar PV are electricians by trade, and in California, they must be properly certified. So if they're claiming 45,000 and they're mostly uncertified, and we only have 3920 per the code, it could mean one of three things. One, it's a total misrepresentation. Two, a blatant misclassification. Or three, most of these workers are part of the underground economy, or maybe all of the above. CalC also claims that battery energy storage work is installed by C10 contractors using certified electricians and apprentices. It must be done at a 1-to-1 ratio, and C46 contractors cannot use their crews as they stand today. So the law is 1-to-1 per trainee. So maybe they don't want codes or ratios. The state put certification on 20 years ago, so there would be standards and ratios of one certified electrician to one apprentice to one certified registered trainee. So for consumer safety, I think it's important to look at all these factors. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Scott Wetcher, on behalf of the California Coalition of Utility Employees and the State Association of Electrical Workers, I'd like to correct a few things in the former presenter's testimony. First of all, CalC testified to the fact that their contractors are doing the vast majority of these installations, and that there's not an adequate number of C10 contractors to perform this work. I believe you are all well aware that there's over 30,000 licensed C10 contractors in the state of California and approximately 1,400 C46s, so that doesn't even pass the laugh test. They claim that since 1981, they've invented this industry. Those of you that have been around a while recall, and as staff referenced, the C46 was originally a swimming pool thermal solar license, and solar energy systems existed long before 1981, and up until that time, it was C10 contractors who did those installations. As you know, your own licensing regulations do not allow C46s to install storage systems today as separate systems. Similarly, as you know, they are not qualified to upgrade electrical panels because they're not qualified to do so. I think it's simply, it reasons clearly that if you're not qualified to upgrade a panel, you shouldn't be allowed to install complex storage systems. According to the National Fire Protection Association, the vast majority, or over 50% of ESSs today are lithium ion. That's where the industry is headed. They identify these 5 serious hazards with these systems. The voltage, of course, is one: arc flash, blast potential, fire potential, vented gas combustibility, and vented gas toxicity. I represent utility workers. While I have not located an OSHA incident where one of our utility workers have been injured by backfeed, we do experience backfeed on a regular basis.
2 minutes.
Oftentimes, it's with, I'll finish my thought, with photovoltaics and storage systems backfeeding back through the system.
My name is Joe Kane. I'm a licensed professional engineer in civil engineering. I serve as Director of Codes and Standards for the Solar Energy Industries Association, which is our national trade association for the solar industry, including over 1,000 members that include C10 and C46 installing solar and batteries. One of the topics you heard was about the NEC requiring a C10 for interconnection. That is just simply not true. SEIA has been engaged in the last 2 cycles in specifically developing proposals for the NEC, very engaged in the solar and storage proposals of the NEC with multiple cross stakeholder groups. One of the things you heard about was Hawaii. Hawaii, their license, their C60 license, says it is to assemble and install photovoltaic panels, batteries, controls, and related low voltage DC wiring. That's in their description of contractors' license classifications PDF on page 20. You've heard mention of the Solar Rights Act, which dates back decades and has been strengthened multiple times over the years, over the course of decades. Then Assemblymember Lois Walk wrote a clarifying letter for the intent, and she said it is to remove barriers to rapid deployment of renewable energy systems. We know that now that includes batteries. You heard about the California energy standards that are taking effect in January 1st. PV required for low-rise residential. Battery storage is going to be a very attractive option in those standards and very important because it helps to shape the demand curve. It helps to stabilize the grid. Last thing is that you heard from CALSA, we need an open process, and Bernadette nailed it on that. You need to have an open process engaging stakeholders. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and board members. Mark Krause on behalf of Pacific Gas and Electric Company. We are here to support option one, staff's option one, and I want to share with a little bit of a new wrinkle. As you think about, and many of you have heard about, we're doing public education around our de-energization programs due to wildfire risk in the summers and all the way into, as you know, November and December. As we're educating our customers, they're asking about backup power options. And so we're working with the air districts, ARB, and others to say renewable options like BESS systems would be an important option. There are many folks in these wildfire areas who rely on residential wells to fight fire. And if they think they have a backup system like this, there's a sort of increased reliability factor that we would add to the overall safety concerns about requiring C10 contractors here. And of course, as Chief Cherry pointed out, the backfeed concern both for first responders and utility employees. So support option one. Thank you.
My name's Ken Stout. I'm from Alpha Energy, and I've been in the solar industry for about 12 or 13 years. And I'm really amazed in this conversation because what we're doing is we're really limiting ourselves. I thought the state of California was one of those states that really is a state of opportunity and imagination. And here we are fighting against each other between C10s and C46s. I really don't understand that because
you can back off the mic a little bit because you're coming up garbled.
Sorry about that. So basically, I'm amazed in how we're not working together in creating a program for both of us. I see the C10s and C46, they're sisters and brothers, okay? I feel like I'm in a political debate, in a Democratic debate here, hey, we're fighting against the right and the left, that we shouldn't be even doing that. So I'm here really to open up to possibilities and working together. And so that's what I would propose. Open it up. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jason Eshelman. I would like to continue to clarify and correct some of the recent misleading information from CALSA. In their notice about the meeting, it was noted that there's over 30,000 certified electricians in California, and there is 45,000 solar and storage workers in California. As Jim Wilson corrected, the false claim of 45,000 solar workers is actually down to less than 4,000. It's 90% less. Unions and non-union C10 contractors utilize blended crews, which include electricians, apprentices, and trainees. According to the documents we have distributed in California, there's 7,615 state-approved electrical apprentices, 11,627 state-registered electrical trainees, and about 30,000 electricians. In total, there are more than 50,000 electrical workers in the state who do this work, not 30,000. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alex Tico, and just to piggyback on what Jason was saying with some numbers, there are 32,000 C10 contractors opposed to 1,425 C46 contractors. And of those 1,425, there's 450 of those C46 contractors also have a C10. Last data we saw said that 976 are only C46 contractors. When we add the Stanford sourced $100 difference on an average $37,000 job to the real, true, large numbers of C10 contractors and electrical workers versus the actual small amount of C46 contractors and workers, it is clear that C10s have far superior numbers and the skills to get the jobs done safely in huge volume at almost the same cost. We believe the time has come to discredit and disregard all the misleading and false claims. The time has come to recommend that all battery storage systems be installed by C10 contractors. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Bob Lilly. I work with a large electrical contractor, Contra Costa Electric, who does business throughout California. There's been a lot of talk today about solar, and then battery storage seems to be appended on the end of that. I can assure you that battery storage systems are very different from PV systems, from solar systems. They're much more powerful, and they're much more dangerous. Battery storage systems are used in emergency power, an uninterrupted power source, or emergency power, some people say, life safety, breaker, and switchgear actuation, and they have no solar component whatsoever. My company has been doing this kind of battery storage work since 1946, beginning in the refineries and continuing on to hospitals, power plants, all without any solar linkage whatsoever. We employ a well-trained, state-certified workforce, and this is clearly electrical work. I implore the committee to recommend only C10 contractors to perform this work for the safety of workers and the public. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Blair Sweezy with SunPower Corporation. SunPower is a California-based manufacturer and installer of solar electric components and systems with more than 30 years of market experience providing complete solar solutions and services to a diverse group of customers, residential, businesses, governments, schools, and utilities. SunPower has extensive experience with installing paired solar and energy storage systems. And I just want to read from the short letter that we sent in to CSLB in May of 2018 on this issue. Today's energy storage technologies are safer, simpler to install, and increasingly plug and play. The new generation of batteries are becoming UL listed as an engineered system with circuit breakers to prevent thermal events and other safety features that are designed for easy installation and widespread use. Safety is of the utmost importance to our company, and we go to great lengths to ensure that our systems are installed by a trained workforce. We have worked with C46 contractors for many years in California. We have 200 different installer company partners across the state. And we find that there's no lack of knowledge, skill, or training needed to properly install solar systems paired with energy storage. In short, there's no evidence that for the sake of public health and safety, or for any other legitimate public interest purpose, the installation of an energy storage system needs to be restricted to the C10 license only. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. I want to speak about option one. My name is Antonio Sanchez, and I'm here speaking on behalf of 12,000 electricians, communications and systems
I'm sorry,
installers.
sir. Limited to the presentations.
Yes, it'll be specific to what some of the comments have been made by
There you go.
Thank you very much. Speaking on behalf of 12,000 electricians, communications and systems installers, civil service electricians, apprentices, construction wiremen, and construction electricians in Los Angeles County, prior to this board's deliberation on this matter in March, the board received a letter signed by over 70 elected officials across the state urging the board to, and I quote, clarify current regulations to require that only specialty contractors holding a C10 electrical contractor's license may install battery energy storage systems. Representatives from state and local government understand the importance of this issue, and I'll read from the letter again. It urged the board to not compromise safety standards by continuing to allow a C46 contractor to install a battery energy storage system. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is David Clark, and to piggyback off of that, I'll read the names of some of the individuals that signed that letter. Senator Melissa Hurtado, Senator Kathleen Galgiani, Senator Richard Pan, Senator Jim Beal, Senator Robert Herzog, Senator Connie Leyva, Senator Maria Elena Durazo, Senator Stephen Bradford, Assemblymember Cecilia Aguilar Curry, Assemblymember Lorena Gonzalez, Assemblymember Mark Levine, Assemblymember Bill Quirk, Assemblymember Kansen Chu, Assemblymember Ash Calra, Assemblymember Robert Rivas, Assemblymember Rudy Salas, Assemblymember James Ramos, Assemblymember Chris Holden, Assemblymember Eloise Gomez Reyes, Assemblymember Blanca Rubio, Assemblymember Miguel Santiago, and Assemblymember Reggie Jones Sawyer. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm S.B. Phillips, and I'm studying to be an electrician. My training program consists of over 1,000 hours of classroom instruction and a minimum of 8,000 on-the-job training, 8,000 hours. And throughout that, the National Electrical Code is taught and reviewed to ensure the proper and safe installation of electrical systems, both DC and AC. Some real-world examples of electrical work performed by state-certified general electricians are DC motors, solar PV systems, battery storage, and uninterrupted power supply battery backup systems. So only C10 contractors should do battery energy storage work. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jesse Elliott. I'm with REC Solar. We are a commercial utility scale contractor. We do stuff all across the nation. I'm our RME, RMO for California are A, C10, and C46. I'm a master electrician, electrical contractor in 8 other states. I've been in this business for 15 and a half years. I've hired many, many people. I've hired journeymen, apprentices. I've hired California Division Apprentice Standard Certified Journeymen. And I tell you, it doesn't matter what test you took, what training you took in a classroom. It matters what you do on the job. It matters what the employer, what the RME or RMO has in-house for a training program. You can take a class on motors for 2 months in your training program, right, a year 2 or 3. If you don't do anything on motors and you go hook up a motor 4 years later, you're not qualified really. You had some training, but there's a lot of stuff you forget. The electrical industry is very vast. The National Electric Code book is huge, right? There's always training that will always happen. Battery energy storage systems are no different than panels, than photovoltaics, solar cells on a roof. The quality issues that I've seen with some of the journeymen that I've hired over time, they actually haven't had the skill set because they've been doing lights inside building construction. They actually don't understand a lot of the DC side of things. I think more recently, their training programs have gotten much better. But over my career, I've seen actually more issues. And really it comes down to the quality control programs that employers have in place. You want to talk safety, it's the quality control programs that an employer has in place that really solves all of this. If you don't have a good safety and quality program, doesn't matter what kind of contractor, doesn't matter what kind of training your employees have, workforce is not safe, the installations is not safe. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Byron Benton. I'm a 17-year training director and a 32-year electrician with expertise in energy conservation and renewable energy. In fact, the training center I direct is the Zero Net Energy Center in San Leandro. We not only train on it, we build it. And it's been my responsibility for the past 17 years to see all our students, as well as certified electricians, have proper training to safely perform all electrical construction. Well, what we've heard today is that the National Electrical Code makes it clear that all electrical energy systems over 50 volts AC and 60 volts DC shall only be installed by a qualified person. And looking at it, what is the purpose of the code? The purpose of the code is the practical safeguarding of persons and property from hazards arising from the use of electricity. We've also heard today that the National Electrical Code is not being adhered to by C46 contractors. Safety concerns surrounding C46 contractors installing battery energy systems are real. And I'd like to share an incident I was involved with where it illustrates the importance of C10 contractors and certified electricians performing electrical work, particularly on energy storage systems that harness tremendous amounts of electrical energy. While working in the field as an electrician for a C10 contractor at Chiron and Emeryville, 2 workers who were not electricians attempted to perform electrical work on the building. A mistake was made which resulted in an electrical panel blowing up. One of the unqualified workers was rushed to the hospital for the electrical burns, while the main research building on the campus was left without power. After a fellow state-certified electrician and myself worked 24 hours nonstop, power to the building was restored.
2 minutes.
So I'd just like to finish with California state certification is critical that C10 contractors and state-certified electricians
Got
are
it.
allowed
Thank
to
you.
install.
Next.
Anything less is a recipe for disaster. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Deppen, and I'm a manager of Southern California Edison with the Distribution Engineering Field Department. My folks review a lot of the plans that come from some of the solar and energy storage vendors. They review plans, they approve, they also commission test, and in some cases they troubleshoot if there's problems that come up through it. Some of the concerns that we have is really around some of the safety issues that have been talked about today. I'm concerned about the safety of our utility employees, the customers we serve, and the public at large. We heard from a gentleman earlier, the retired fire captain, that really talked about wanting to ensure that we have the most properly trained employees to perform this work. And that's really our opinion. Contractors with a C10 license are properly authorized and trained to install these energy storage systems as a standalone system, and it should be no different for paired. SCE urges the CSLB to make paramount, as we do, the safety and reliability issues cited when determining contractor qualifications for combined solar and energy storage systems. Thank you.
My name is Dave Iloff, certified general electrician for state of California, and I'm representing electricians in Napa and Solano counties. So CALSA members have made a number of claims that I'd like to address. The first of which is they claim that C46 contractors and their workers have all the skills necessary to install battery energy storage systems in a safe and professional manner. But they're not trained on, nor do they describe in these hearings the use cases for the industry standard professional protective equipment, PPE, necessary to safely install and service these modern battery energy storage systems. The second thing is CALSA members claim that because they install PV solar systems, they'd have the skills necessary to install the system safely. This demonstrates a fundamental lack of electrical system understanding that can lead to dangerous consequences. PV generates a flow of current that can hurt not only the workers but the public. Battery storage holds a huge reservoir of electrical energy that can burst like a dam and cause serious injury or death through arc flash, arc blast, and thermal runaway incidents. And toxic chemicals can also be released, so something we definitely need to consider. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jerome Braxton. I'm an apprentice electrician. I want to go along with Dave's comments. CALSA members claim that battery storage systems are safe because they have a UL rated decal. That also demonstrates a critical lack of fundamental electrical knowledge. Electricians have been trained, often by UL staff, to know that a UL device is safe when it is installed properly and safely. For example, if the size or type of wiring or circuit breakers are not calculated and selected correctly, no UL certification will stop a fire from igniting. Although I have only had time to provide just 3 examples, they should clearly demonstrate that C46 non-electrician workers do not have the training nor the certification to safely install battery storage. C10s certainly do. Thank you.
My name is Jack Ramsey, and I'm incredibly nervous doing this. I'm uncomfortable. there's been a lot of emotion and a lot of things back and forth, and I'm kind of a brass tacks person, and I really think what I heard from our first esteemed speaker was that the bottom line is it requires a C10 to put a breaker in a main service panel. That's kind of what was being insinuated. And my question to the license board, and I think I said I'm a C46 and a C10, is have you told the HVAC and the appliance guys that what they're doing is against the law also? So thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Barber, and I've been a training director for 17 years in San Mateo County. And I can attest that I've overseen the training of over 600 qualified electricians. So in my role as a training director, it's my responsibility to make sure that they're properly trained and that they can work on an electrical system safely and are qualified. So our training program consists of over 1,200 hours of classroom instruction and a minimum of 8,000 hours of on-the-job training. And as one of the speakers said, we're pretty good at training. So the claim that the CALSSA members, that electricians do not know or work with DC power is just inaccurate. DC theory, DC lab work is part of our training. I can attest to 220 hours of it being our training. And we've been doing it since the invention of the DC motor, solar panels, battery storage, and I personally, as a 35-year member and an electrician certified, have installed UPS systems or uninterrupted power supply backup systems. So our training center has solar on it, has a storage, battery storage, and many of our training centers have that, and they were installed by C10 contractors using our workforce. So I just wish to convey my hope that the Contractors Board will consider all the evidence that's being presented and that we can come to some solutions.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Collins, and I'm an apprentice electrician, and I just wanted to piggyback on what Kathleen said. The students and graduates go to work for numerous C10 contractors in San Francisco and San Mateo County, so I know the type of work we are doing. C10 contractors are doing megawatts and megawatts of renewable energy, which is DC work. Fellow students and certified electricians are trained on which fellow students and certified electricians are trained on and maintain. Most importantly, they do it safely because they have the requisite KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities. Conversely, there is no way to know what KSAs C46 workers have because there is no state-required electrical training, testing, or certification to confirm their electrical skills relative to battery energy storage. My advice is to recommend that only C10 contractors install all battery energy storage systems. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stacy Renexis. I have founded two different energy storage companies, STEM Inc. and Power Tree Services, which between the two have installed 100 plus energy storage systems throughout California and several hundreds throughout the United States and Canada. I hold 9 patents related to energy storage and energy storage system design. I want to say that I strongly support the Cal SSA position in that we've had extremely good experience with C46-based electricians and installers with no incidents so far. The claim that you have to have a C10, there just isn't enough labor resource available, and it will result in a significant loss of jobs and a significant holdback in technologies that are absolutely essential for further greenhouse gas reductions within and throughout not just California, but throughout the United States. So I strongly oppose this idea that C10 is a requirement because I think there are significant consequences to this and that it very much restricts the market and will hurt the overall state goals that we need in this, the hottest climate year ever recorded in history. Thank you.